Hey guys, if you want to learn about sexual addiction, the brain, dopamine, and how all this works and why this is such a struggle for you, take a look at this.
I mean, I've had, for example, journalists writing for esteemed publications, call me to interview me about sex addiction and say to me, well, it's not really an addiction, is it? I mean, it's really just about cultural mores around, what's acceptable sexual behavior and what isn't. And I've had to correct that person and say, no, you're wrong. This is really an addiction. It can devastate lives. People can lose their lives over these problems.
Yeah, I've heard all the horror stories, you guys. I've seen it. I've lived it personally. I mean, I was about as compulsive to pornography as you can possibly imagine. And it just was wreaking havoc in my life, like almost causing divorce. I mean, there was so much consequences that were coming my way. And change was extremely difficult. So I'm tired of people minimizing this. This is no joke.
I mean, this is what I really want to drive home to people. Like, yeah, there are many risk factors for addiction, but you can have none of those risk factors in today's world and get really addicted.
Well, let's talk about the neurochemistry of addiction.
Yeah, so even if you were raised in like the perfect family, quote unquote, you have a loving parent, super supportive, yada, yada, yada. Like, okay, you're still capable of becoming addicted to something. Doesn't mean you have to have experienced trauma or anything like that.
Walk me through what's happening in our brains and the role that dopamine plays in all of this.
Yeah, so dopamine is a neurotransmitter, which means that it is the molecule that allows the electrical signal from the presynaptic neuron to be communicated to the postsynaptic neuron because there's a little gap called the synapse between those two neurons. So neurotransmitters allow fine-tuning of those electrical signals. And dopamine is the most important neurotransmitter involved in motivation and reward. And the fundamental difference between things that are addictive and those that aren't is that things that are addictive release a lot more dopamine. So we have dopamine firing in our brain that occurs at a tonic baseline. And when we do something that's rewarding or pleasurable, we get a little rise in dopamine levels or a spike. So for example, chocolate increases dopamine levels about 50% above baseline. Sex is about 100%. Nicotine is about 150%. And things like methamphetamines are 1,000%.
Okay, so this is huge. Where does pornography fall in that scale? So pornography is 2 to 3 times more pleasurable than any other natural rewards that you can get. So she talked about, chocolate, for example, 50% more than baseline. So pornography would be in that 100 to 200% above baseline. Even more, it ranges even higher than even normal sex a lot of the times. Okay, so this is why this is such a struggle and why it's different than even just sex. Okay, porn is highly pleasurable. It's a hyperstimulus. And we've never experienced anything like it, especially the type of pornography we have today.
Really, you have to imagine that in your brain, there's a balance, like a teeter-totter in a playground. When we experience pleasure, the balance tips one way. When we experience pain, it tips the other. But one of the fundamental rules governing that balance is that it wants to remain level. So with any deviation from neutrality, the brain will work very hard to restore a level balance or what's called homeostasis. So for example, if I do something pleasurable, like eat a piece of chocolate, I get a little tip to the side of pleasure, a little release of dopamine. But no sooner has that happened than my brain adapts to that phenomenon by downregulating my own dopamine receptors, downregulating my own dopamine transmission. And I imagine that as these little gremlins hopping on the pain side of the balance to bring it level again.
This is absolutely huge, what she's saying here. I mean, guys, you've experienced this, right? If you're viewing porn, you masturbate to orgasm. As soon as you've hit that threshold, the dopamine immediately just plummets, right? Like I've seen this where guys are viewing pornography, like they've downloaded an app, they're viewing pornography, and while they're still in orgasm, they're already deleting the app and dopamine is plummeting. The pleasure goes down, they've achieved the goal. Right? And then afterwards, you're left feeling hollow, empty. Right? So she said, you downregulate your dopamine uptake, so you can't take in as much. And you also downregulate dopamine production. So there's less in the system and less is being taken up. So you feel this dip and you feel kind of crappy and miserable afterwards. You do that all the time, except for the times where you're viewing porn, you kind of just feel like crap all the time. And that's how it goes.
But the thing about the gremlins is they like it on the balance, so they stay on until the balance is tipped an equal and opposite amount to the side of pain. And that's called the opponent process reaction, the hangover, the come down, the after effect. Now, and in my case, that's that moment of wanting another piece of chocolate. If I wait long enough, the gremlin hops off and balance is restored. But if I continue to consume chocolate in ever larger amounts to overcome the tolerance or the number of gremlins on the pain side, then I end up with enough gremlins on the pain side of my balance to fill this whole room. And I'm essentially in a dopamine deficit state with a balance tilted to the side of pain. Now I have to keep using, not to feel good, but just to feel normal. And when I stop using, my balance tips hard to the side of pain. I'm irritable, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I can't sleep. Those are the universal symptoms of withdrawal from any addictive substance. And that can last a long time.
This is absolutely wild what she's sharing here. I mean, I hope that you can see the pattern in yourself of what happens. Like so many of my guys, they say they can't sleep at night until they view porn or masturbate, right? That's because of this. Your body is just trying to help you. It's trying to get you into that place of homeostasis again. But because we haven't left this gap between, viewing pornography, because we're viewing pornography so frequently, when we're not viewing it, we feel miserable. And our body's in this state of stress, right? And so you go to lay down for bed, you can't sleep because your body's all dysregulated. So your body, by viewing porn, by driving the urge to view porn before you go to bed, again, is trying to get to homeostasis, is trying to help you. Because we've had this extreme behavior going on all the time, and we feel so crappy here, cortisol's high, et cetera, we need that porn to regulate. But unfortunately, like she's saying, we're using it to just simply feel normal. And now all the good things in life, the things that bring lasting fulfillment and everyday pleasure are just hollow and empty for us because pornography produces so much dopamine. Your brain has to downregulate to get back to homeostasis. So guys, if you're wanting to quit porn for good so that you can experience pleasure from everyday good things again, it is absolutely possible. We have to do it by mastering your urges to view. The answer is actually in the urges themselves, which is a kind of a wild way of looking at it. So many guys are counting their streaks or days of sobriety. We count how many urges you've successfully conquered instead. And by doing so, we're able to decondition your brain, and you will start to experience, once you hit 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, without using pornography, your brain is going to start to heal, and you're going to start feeling better. Most of the time, you just haven't gotten that far yet, but I promise you, with the right support, that all of that can change for you finally in your life, and you can heal. There's a link below the video if you want to hop on a call and chat with me. Otherwise, have a good one, guys. We'll talk to you later.